At first, this sounds obvious. Gravity pulls things down. You drop a cup, it falls. You jump, you come back down. You stand on the floor and feel your weight pressing into your feet. It feels so natural that it almost feels silly to question it. Gravity pulls. Down is down. End of story. And yet, if we slow down for a second, something about that picture starts to feel a little too neat. Let's stay with the ordinary scene for a moment. You're standing in a quiet room. Nothing dramatic, a chair, a wall, the soft hum of the world outside. You feel solid, still, anchored. Gravity, you think, is holding you here. But notice what that idea is really saying. It's saying that something is actively pulling you right now, every second, without pause. As if the earth is reaching up and grabbing you. That sounds fine at first. But then something feels off. If gravity is pulling you, why don't you feel like you're moving? When something pulls you in everyday life, you feel motion. You feel acceleration. You feel a change. If someone grabs your arm and tugs, you know it immediately. Your body reacts. But gravity never tugs. It never yanks. It never even seems to announce itself. It's just there. So quietly there that you stop noticing it entirely. Let's try something simpler. Imagine you're in an elevator. The doors close. The cables snap. For a brief moment, something strange happens. You feel light. Not lighter, weightless. Your stomach floats. Your feet lose their argument with the floor. And here's the uncomfortable part. Gravity didn't turn off. The earth didn't disappear. Nothing about the planet changed at all. And yet, you stopped feeling gravity. Why? This is where it gets uncomfortable, because it suggests that feeling gravity and gravity itself are not the same thing. That pause in the elevator, that quiet floating moment, is not the absence of gravity. It's something else. Let's slow down again. What does feeling gravity actually mean? When you're standing on the floor, gravity is pulling your body toward the earth, yes. But the floor is pushing back. Hard. Your feet want to fall. The ground refuses. That pressure in your legs, in your spine, that's not gravity pulling you down. That's the ground pushing you up. This is subtle, and it takes a while to accept. When you stand still, you are not resting peacefully under gravity. You are being prevented from falling. Standing is resistance. Falling is the natural motion. This is where physicists didn't expect things to go, not at first. Because if falling is natural, and standing is resistance, then gravity isn't quite the force we imagined. Let's imagine something else. Forget Earth for a moment. Picture empty space. No stars nearby. No air. No sound. Just silence and distance. You release an object. What happens? Nothing. It doesn't drift downward. There is no down. It simply continues, doing whatever it was already doing. Motion, in the absence of interference, doesn't need encouragement. It just continues. Now bring Earth back into the picture. Not as a pulling hand, but as a massive presence that changes what straight ahead means. Space itself bends, not dramatically, not visibly, but enough that paths which look straight slowly curve inward. So the object you dropped isn't being yanked downward. It's following the straightest path it can through a space that is quite straight. Like a marble rolling across a gently curved surface, so gentle you don't see the slope, only the motion. This is where the idea becomes strange in a quiet way. When you fall, you are not being dragged. You are letting go. You are doing the simplest thing a body can do. Move freely. And when you stand on the ground interrupts that freedom. The floor says no. It bends you away from the path you would otherwise take. So that pressure you feel in your feet, that heaviness, that sense of being pulled, that is the feeling of not falling. It takes time to let that settle, because it flips the story you've carried since childhood. You're not pinned to the earth by gravity. You're constantly trying to fall through space and being stopped. Even now, even sitting, even lying down. Your chair is pushing you away from a motion you're quietly trying to make. The earth is not holding you. It's blocking you. This makes the still room feel a little less still. Because if this is true, and it is, then motion is happening even when nothing seems to move. You are part of a slow, silent fall that never quite completes. And the moment the ground were to vanish, you wouldn't suddenly start falling. You would finally stop resisting. You would feel weightless, not because gravity disappeared, but because nothing would be in the way anymore. Let that image linger. A quiet room, a solid floor, a body held in place by constant interruption, and somewhere underneath it all, a motion that never stops. I wonder what other things feel solid only because something unseen is pushing back. Let's stay with that thought for a moment. Because once you start seeing it that way, it becomes hard to unsee. Take a breath. Notice where your body meets the chair. The exact places where pressure appears. Those points of contact are doing something very specific. They are interrupting motion. Not violent motion. Not dramatic motion. Just the quiet, default motion of falling. It's strange to call it falling, actually. That word carries too much drama. Too much panic. What's really happening is more gentle than that. It's more like being allowed to follow a path, and then being politely, constantly redirected. Let me try another picture. I'm not sure it's perfect, but stay with me. Imagine you're walking forward in a perfectly straight hallway. You don't think about it, you just walk. Now imagine that hallway slowly curves downward, so slowly that you don't notice the bend with your eyes. You still feel like you're walking straight. But after a while, you realize you're lower than where you started. Did something pull you down? Not really. You just kept going straight. In a space that was. Gravity works more like that than like a rope or a hand. And that makes the everyday experience of weight feel a bit misleading. Because weight feels active. It feels like something happening to you. But falling, true falling, doesn't feel active at all. Astronauts say this again and again. They don't feel pulled. They don't feel dragged. They feel normal. Arms float. Tools drift. Bodies relax. Their hearts beat the same. Their thoughts move the same. What disappears is not gravity. What disappears is the floor. And without the floor, there's nothing to push against them, nothing to interrupt that quiet motion. This is where the idea starts to feel personal. Because if falling feels normal, and standing feels strained, then the sensation we call rest is actually effort. Your muscles are working even when you think you're still. Your bones are compressed. Your body is negotiating with the ground constantly, silently, all day. This doesn't mean you're about to fall through the floor. The floor is doing its job very well. But it does mean that stillness is not what it seems. There's a difference between not moving and not being allowed to move. And we almost never tell those two apart. Think about sleep. When you lie down, your weight spreads out. The pressure softens. Your body relaxes. Not because gravity weakened, but because resistance became gentler. The earth didn't change its mind. Your body just found a more forgiving way to be stopped. This makes the idea of down feel a little suspicious too. Down feels absolute, obvious, like a universal direction. But down is just the direction in which free motion curves here. On another planet, down points somewhere else. In empty space, it points nowhere at all. Down is local, temporary. That's unsettling in a quiet way, because it means the direction you've trusted your whole life isn't built into the universe. It's negotiated between mass and motion, between space and time, between where you are and how space behaves there. And here's a thought I find myself returning to, even when I try not to. If gravity were truly a pulling force in the way we imagine, then standing still should feel peaceful. But it doesn't. Standing still feels heavy. And falling, real falling, feels free. That inversion is not a trick. It's a clue. It suggests that the universe prefers motion without interference, and that what we call forces are often just the feeling of being stopped, blocked, redirected. Your chair is not holding you up. It's getting in your way. The earth is not hugging you close. It's preventing you from continuing along a path you would otherwise take. And that path, that invisible, effortless path, is always there waiting. Even now. Especially now. If you close your eyes, you can almost sense it. That gentle insistence. That quiet invitation to move. I keep wondering what other things in life feel like pulls, when they're really resistances, and whether we mistake effort for stability, simply because we've never experienced the silence of letting go. Let's not rush past that just yet. Maybe this is a good place to stop. Not because the idea is finished, but because it is. Because once you notice this quiet difference between being pulled and being stopped, it starts to echo elsewhere. In motion, in stillness, in how effort disguises itself as rest. Right now, the room feels calm again. The chair feels ordinary. The floor feels dependable. Nothing dramatic has changed. And yet, somewhere beneath all of that, something is still happening. Something so gentle it doesn't announce itself. So constant it disappears. A motion that doesn't feel like motion. A fall that doesn't feel like falling. I keep thinking about how many things feel solid, only because they refuse to let us move the way we naturally would. But that thought can wait. We don't need to chase it tonight. Let it sit quietly the way gravity does. Not pulling, not pushing, just shaping the paths we don't usually notice.